Good evening, YouTube. Um, I feel the need to go on more these days. I don't know, maybe because things are feeling a little more heated, um, depending on the circumstance. And like I've always said of myself and my situation, as I've this thing is literally, this is a crazy battle, because this is not a battle, this is a series of battles. So as I have been in this thing for a while, I think we all have been in for a while. Anybody going through tough situations right now, you know, the way you endured it in the beginning gets to be more trying in the end. It just always seems as it continues, it gets worse and worse. It gets crazier and crazier. It just evolves into a mess and you feel like discouraged. I like to use baking analogies because I am a baker. I've given this analogy before, but it is no truer about gang stalking than anything else. And not just gang stalking, but any trial that you go through where it's a long journey. If you're doing anything that involves some sort of process, so for me, I'm going to talk about baking. If I'm baking something very simple that is going to take, I can do in one day, it's going to take, you know, 10-15 minutes to prepare it. It's going to rise for 3 hours and I can bake it and eat it immediately. Something like that is not going to require, it's going to be very straightforward. There are things that I bake that the preparation time alone, just the preparation time, is a number of hours. Then the rising time, the rest time, is like a minimum of 18 to 24 hours. And then to bake it takes more preparation. It's going to take like an hour plus to bake. That's a different process. But the result of that bread is superior to a regular loaf. And once you start eating that kind of bread, you don't want to go back to the other stuff at all. And it goes for anything that you're gonna do. If you're gonna build something that anybody can build, that's very easy. It's gonna take no time at all. You're gonna slap it together, put it up, it's gonna be good to go. When you are putting together something, or when God is putting together something in your life that is going to be monumental, that is going to be life-changing, that is a massive blessing, that is going to take some time and some effort. I can look at the previous challenges that I've had in my life. I've had a big battle like this before in my life that has costed me. I learned so many lessons out of that. And when I look back now, that was a baby lesson in comparison to this. But had I not gone through that one and survived it, I wouldn't be ready for this. That one took a number of years. You know, if I can share a little bit about my life, there were decisions that I made that were monumental, that to the looking from the outside, looking in, if people were to look at the decisions that I had made, they would have said, and they did, they would have said, this is a huge mistake, you shouldn't be doing this. And there were some of those decisions that I tried to not to make, and I tried to undo, and God sent me back to make the same decision again. And where I found myself going through a massive shakeup in my life. It was very difficult. And through what I learned from those challenges, I know now that I'm ready to face the challenges that I have now. Sometimes things happen in your life, whether it's when you're younger or whenever, it's very traumatic, and you can hold on to that bitterness and think like, why would that happen to me? Like, how could God allow that to happen? But if you try to go through it, it's a very difficult thing to say, but if you try to go through it the best that you can, you're not going to be perfect. But if you can try to go through it the best that you can, those lessons are what makes it possible for you to survive today. You can be in a situation with other people, and everybody's experiencing the same situation in a different capacity. All of our journeys, whether we are intertwined or not, are different. I can sit and say, well, I lost all of this, and then somebody else lost a ton of stuff, and I could be like, you know what, they lost more than I did. I could sit and say, I am going through a difficult time, and I can look at other people in my situation and say they're going through a worse time than I am. And I've learned enough humility, and still learning, I am learning enough humility to be patient with not just the situation, but with other people in the situation, and just to look at other people's perspectives and not lash out anymore in the way that I used to, because I really did, because I was looking at it from my perspective only. You go through something tough, and a lot of times we don't understand other people's perspectives. We have no clue what other people's challenges are, even people we do not like, even people who in the situation might look like an aggressor. We don't know. And it's very common, it's very normal to just take a situation at face value. Now, I'm not saying people are right, but sometimes you just don't see it. You just don't see it unless God allows you to see it. As you are navigating your storm, and the time you're staying in that storm is dragging on, and you become desperate for a solution, you have to just try to relax through it and be patient with it, and just know that it has to play out in the way that it's playing out, because each step or each mistake you make or each misstep reveals something, teaches you something, trains you for something, and every difficulty along the way not just makes you stronger, but makes you more prepared for the things that are coming in your future. One thing I have learned is, I know for a fact a lot of the skills that I have that have gotten me through what I am going through has literally been because of previous traumas that I faced, and previous lessons that have been at the time that were just too much for me to handle. At the time, I felt like my life was falling apart. If I can say one thing is, as long as you're alive, you have another day and another opportunity, and no matter what it looks like, your life is not falling apart. No storm will last forever. The storm runs out of clouds. Just like good times do not last, bad times do not last. They cannot last. Life is cyclical. It has to come to an end at some point. It's hard to let go of control and allow it to conclude gracefully, because every time something happens, As human beings, we panic. Every time we hear something that is not going our way, or it's in the opposite direction of what we're hoping for, we panic. It is only natural. But the point is to learn and not be stagnant in your behavior. When you're changing bad habits that have lived in you for a long time, it does take some time, and it takes continued failure to get to a place where you're proud of yourself for the changes you've made. Changes are not easy. Going through difficult times and coming out as a new person, which is what it's meant to do, because difficult times will not allow you to be the same person. It puts pressure on you. Going through a difficult time and coming out as a brand new person took a lot of pain. So the pain you're feeling is normal. There's so many times where I feel like I've let myself down, having reactions. I've had difficulty with looking at myself. I've been justifying, I've been trying to make excuses, I've been trying to explain away, not to anyone, to myself, to make myself feel better, because I want to feel like I'm better than that. How did I allow that to happen? But you know what? After repeated failure, repeatedly being embarrassed of myself, repeatedly thinking I can do better than this, you know, one day there's a day where your behavior changes and you respond differently, and you're like, you know what, this is what it was all about. And there's going to be a day where I get into a situation and someone does something and they expect me to react a certain way, and I don't, because a very tough time in my life taught me that reacting would just make the situation worse. It would make my day worse. It would add fuel to the fire. It would just make things more chaotic than they need to be. And if I could hold myself back in that moment, I would feel better. God has been trying to teach me that lesson for a long time. The first time it happened accidentally, was it accidentally? I'm not sure. It's like God was like, I've been waiting for this. And then I slipped up right after, and I've been slipping up right after. And it's just a slippery thing. Sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I get it wrong. Sometimes I get it right and wrong in the same day. It just depends. So whatever your lessons are unique. The grooming you're going through is unique. A position in life is available for you, and you have to go through these triggers in order to know how to handle them. You have to go through the failure. Learning from just making the same mistakes over and over again. You have to learn how to endure, how to hold on beyond the point where you're tired of it. Beyond the point where you're telling God, like, I am tired of this. I want to break. I want out. It's enough. You know, whatever it is that we all say when we have had enough of something. Going through a tough time where you're not just laying back and letting things happen to you, but you're actually trying to overcome. You're trying to persevere. You're trying to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You're fighting back. You're doing the best that you can. Going through a tough time like that is different from then just giving up and saying, well, I'm not doing anything and it is what it is, and complaining. It is harder to try to navigate something by saying, I'm not going to give up on myself. I'm not going to give up hope. I'm going to have faith in God. I'm going to have faith in where I'm going. That is a hard thing to do, is to have faith when the time is running down. That is, listen, I remember early on, was it early on? Maybe in the middle of this, God was like, this is not an easy fight and it's not a short fight. No, God's exact words. These are not easy fights and these are not short fights. The first time I went through it, it was years long as well. Years long. And it wasn't easy and it wasn't short. Now, something not being easy is one thing, but something taking years long battle, that will test your faith. It will test your patience. That will push your back against the wall. When you're going through things like that, you literally just have to renew your strength. You start off, the way you start off tends not to be the way that you finish. One of the things that I've had experience with is long distance running. And I mean, we're literally running for an hour or two. Uphill, downhill, like long distance running. And it's taught me a lot about endurance. It's taught me a lot about how to push through, how to persevere, how to keep going beyond the point where I want to give up. Because if I stop running, it could be 15 minutes or 30 minutes into that race, I'm going to be stranded in the middle of nowhere. And the only people that are coming by are people that are running past me, and they're I'm gonna have to walk the rest of the distance or walk back to the starting point. So when you start these races, you have to finish. You can't stand still. Imagine a 2-hour race, and an hour in, you're starting to walk. An hour in, by the time you get to the finish line, everybody already packed up everything and they're gone. So it taught me that I have no choice, that I have to keep going. And it taught me to take things day by day. And one of the things that I had to do in the hardest part of this was literally pray one day at a time. Every single day was put in practices in place that would help me renew my strength every day. It taught me about the power of my thoughts. Even though I'm not perfect yet, I do have days where I will think myself into a bad mood. It taught me about the power of creating my environment, and an environment that's safe, even though there's chaos outside, even though the chaos is energetically trying to come inside or coming inside as well. It taught me about being calm, calming music, calming atmospheres, being able to realize spell work in my family, being able to respond to people in a way knowing it's not their fault because they're under some type of work, being able to be more understanding of people and their situations, being able to make sure that what's going on outside does not get inside, that I can remain calm even when people are disrespecting me for 12 hours a day and really fighting hard to get a reaction out of me. And I went through that for a long time, a year and a half, every single day, 7 days a week. So I know, like, this is trying, and I know this is a trial. And if you get yours in waves, amazing. Some of us get multiple battles at a time. It could be health plus gang stalking plus all kinds of sabotage plus financial concerns, all kinds of things. And you got to keep a smile on your face. You got to keep taking care of yourself. You do not want to come out of these battles and look horrible because you're always upset, because you're always angry, because you're depressed, because you let it get to you. It's tough. It is tough. But you got to find a way to keep yourself upbeat. Me coming on here, I know for a fact that there were people that probably said to themselves, this person doesn't understand how serious what they're going through is, because why are they laughing? Why are they making a joke of it? I have to make a joke of it because otherwise, can you even imagine what I would do? Paranoid, scared out of my mind, shaking like a leaf, anxiety, depression, wondering what has happened, because what happens here is your life flips upside down in a way that it disrupts everything that is normal to you. And one of the first things that happened was I found tarot, and tarot made it like it was like a team. So it was almost like, well, God has people here, and a number of them are going through the same thing. And we're going to put people here to talk about what everybody's going through and explain it. And these girls were so passionate. It was like you had cheerleaders that could tell you, it's like us against them. And these people would be very biased in their perspective. They have a bias, they have a favorite. God's people are their favorite, they're cheering us on, that's the enemy, that's the bad side, etc., etc. And for the time period that it was necessary, even though I walked through this by myself, I did not feel alone. I didn't feel alone in the spirit, and I didn't feel alone in the physical, because I knew that other people were going through this as well. And I thought to myself, if other people are enduring it, then I can endure it. And so it took it away from it being like an isolated situation where you're the only person having a hard time, to there are a large number of people all over the world having the same kind of hard time as you, and you're getting encouragement, you're getting tips, you're getting advice, you're figuring out what's going on. You're not in the dark. Going through this and being in the dark, oh my God, you will make up listen, I couldn't even imagine if I went through this and I didn't understand what it was or why it was or any of that. It's essential. When you go through it and you hear the stories of somebody else, and you hear their trials, and you hear what they go through, you definitely for yourself feel like, first of all, I used to feel like, listen, if they can go through it, I can go through it too. If there are other people getting through it, so that means it's possible to get through. That's amazing. And then you just feel like, well, there's a team out there that is cheering for me, that is rooting me on, that supports me, and God puts in place who and what is needed for your specific purpose, for your specific comfort, because you are not alone in this fight. When I went through my first battle, big battle for God, and I thought it was about me, but I realize now that God needed something to happen, that there are people that need to be taught a lesson, that need to be stopped, not necessarily punished and destroyed in it, but they need to be stopped. They need to learn a lesson from the things that they're doing. They need to cut it out. When I went through my first one, I did not have God in the way that I do now. I didn't have the awareness. I was too scared of this side of life. I was too scared of anything occult, anything too spiritual, anything. If God had showed up to me the way she showed up to me now, oh my God, I would think I was haunted by a demon. I would be so scared. It took me coming here. It took all the lessons I've gone through for me to come here and be mature enough to be able to embrace her, to be able to understand what I'm seeing and feeling, to hear other people and look at them and see them and know that they are normal people. Because it's not what someone says. You analyze who they are, what their intentions are. Are they a good person? And to hear other people talk about spirituality and look at them and be like, no, I think this person's a good person. This person doesn't give me evil vibes. There are some people that come nice, but these are not good people. This person doesn't give me evil vibes, and this person is talking about things that I'm going through. So you know what? Maybe what I'm going through is not so strange. And you find your own community. But when you're going through a very tough time, and especially with something like gang stalking, where you do not trust anyone, in the first, for myself, I'll say, up until maybe 3-4 months ago, I was so not trusting of anything, like nothing, no one. Now I can gauge, I can tell. And now I can even go into places where I previously didn't trust, and I don't even mind, because I know my boundaries, I know my limits. It just takes time. And it will come to a point where even if it doesn't stop, you've gotten so used to it, it just is what it is. Even when it starts replaying again, if it got intense again, it's just like, look, I've been at this so long. And I remember in the beginning, when I say God told me, I don't always mean like how I'm telling it. I'm saying you will see things, you will read things, you will get messages in some sort of way. There was a message I read, and it was just a random thing on the internet, and it said, what first used to frighten you eventually gets to a point where it's just like normal. And it was like everything becomes normal at some point. And I rolled my eyes. I was like, how the heck can something crazy like this become normal? And let me tell you, it gets normal. It does get normal. Something like this, I will say, look, everything that happens here and everybody that is a part of this has some personal agenda. There's a personal reason for everything. It's not necessarily about you. Sometimes you're on the receiving end of something because somebody has a personal issue, and it's not even personal to you. It's just a personal issue that someone has, and you're on the receiving end of it. Sometimes we end up being victims of other people's ego, of other people's agendas, all kinds of things. And we feel the brunt force of it, and you'll be thinking like, why is this happening to me? And I tell you, everything is easier with understanding. Once you start understanding why, and you start understanding other people, it just makes it easier to bear, to tolerate. When I first started understanding that a lot of people are forced to do this, are bullied into doing this, it made it so much easier to bear. It was like, okay, you know what? It's not so bad. A lot of people made it very obvious that they just didn't want anything to do with it. Like, they went out of their way to make it obvious. Like, they don't believe in this, they don't like this. This is annoying to them. They hate the fact that they're here, and they just went about their day. I was so grateful for people like that. People like that helped me not hate humanity at large. Then you get to a point where you start understanding a little by little everybody's agenda, everybody's motivations behind things. And then you start thinking, these people do not care about this. Like, one of the things for me was when I started coming online, people, they're internet trolls that say things, right? And you might think, oh my gosh, like, people are talking about my looks, or they're saying things about me. And then you just get to realize, like, either they have to do it, or they're paid to do it, or something or the other. These people do not know you. They have to do this on 15 accounts every day or every hour, or however they have to do it. They are not hyper focused on any one person. They're just saying something to say it. They're doing something to do it. It's not personal. And from that place, you stop taking it personally. You're like, this is someone's job. One of the things I started realizing on the internet when I first came on here and people were trolling me was, I sometimes would visit their profile, and the way that they were making content on their profile to me was very obvious. Like, this person does not want to do this. This is not being done out of a passion. This is not being done because they want to educate the world. This is not being done because it's like something important. It's like you could just see somebody almost like reading off of a paper, like yapping away. They didn't care. And then I remember there was one specific person that they said specifically, I thought you already know that we don't have a choice, or something like that they said. And that's when it was confirmed to me, and they were resentful. And as they all used to come in my comment section, and the way that I used to talk with a lot of compassion about gang stalkers, and I used to say, like, we hate these people, but these people are scared to go through what we're going through. They get a little taste and they fall in line very quickly, because that's how they get them in to do this. And these people are just regular people, and they're terrified. Some of them come with fear in their eyes. Some of them come, they're just exhausted. Some of them come, you can see they're tired, they're lifeless in their body. Some of them come, they're resentful. There's always going to be the few that come and they're passionate and they're happy. I think those ones, they fooled them easily and they didn't know. But they're going to come to the point where they realize, where they say, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. And they're like, what? You can't leave. And then they get a bit of gang stalking, and then now they understand what other people were going through. So everybody here, you start realizing this is a system. And as you realize that, and as I was talking like that, people started leaving me alone. You would almost see, they would come in, and instead of them trolling and leaving comments, if one person made a bad comment, another one would almost like stop that person. But they would sit and they would listen. They would stay in the chat and they would listen. And I would notice that they would just sit in for a while. And eventually, you know, they would try to start kicking people out of my lives because they didn't want people to hear what I was saying, because I was literally giving these people a bit too much advice about how to deal with the spiritual aspect, or what they call the military weapons. And I was giving people hope on a situation that was hopeless. So after they were done listening to me, I knew they would feel good, because I'd feel that vibration. Even I felt good after, because I was really saying to people like, look, I know it's bad, but here's my perspective on it. And I was coming in a very light-hearted way of making fun of this. This is a joke to me, because it was a joke to me. It still is a joke. I want to take it serious, and I'm like, I can't. I start to take it serious, and I can't. I start to try to, I cannot. It's lunacy. It's crazy. And so I came and I would be laughing at things because it's funny. And I would be reenacting or retelling stories. And, you know, it's like God sent word. Like when people come to your channel, when they listen to you speak, they leave feeling hopeful, and they feel stronger. They feel more encouraged to move forward with their day, their situation. And there are some times if I can say, or maybe some people might say, I wasn't the best version of myself. But let me tell you, what some people might say wasn't the best version of myself, coming in a fighting energy, I'll tell you, it invokes in other people the ability to fight through their situation too. To say, why am I going to be scared of you? What reason do I have to be afraid of? Afraid of what? And now make them see what is happening around them as other human beings. Simplifying it, what's happening around you is human beings. This is a human being. This is a mother. This is a father. This is a child. They may think they're grown. This is a kid. This is an 18-year-old. This is not someone with a gun. This is not someone who is going to kidnap you. These people just want to frustrate you. These people want to make you feel uncomfortable. But the minute you look at them and you square up with them and you like, hey, what are you doing? They back down immediately. And you start seeing that these are human beings. So you stop taking it seriously. You start realizing everybody has their own burden and their own fears in this thing. Everybody is scared of something, including the people that are coming after you. Everybody has a fear, including the people paying for it have fears. If we let this one get away, then the whole thing falls apart, then this and that, who knows? I don't know their personal situation. Everybody here has something that troubles them and keeps them up at night. But the core of all of this is demonic entities. That's what this really is. This is energies that bring out the worst in people, provoke people, bring chaos, bring anger, bring animosity, and bring hate between people. And it takes God stepping in saying, let me show you. Let me show you a different perspective. Let me make you understand. Let me make you understand what makes somebody lash out. Let me make you understand what makes somebody behave this way. So you cannot take it so personally, and you cannot meet them in lashing out. It has taken God repeating things over and over for me to one day sit back and be like, wait a minute, this is too strong of a reaction just because of that. Let me really think this through. And coming to the point and being like, oh, that's what that is. Okay. From that perspective, I understand. Not to say that it's okay, but why would I play into it? Why would I make it worse? Just let it be what it is. If you can try to walk through like that, it makes it easier to just sit by and be patient. It makes it easier to say, you know what, if I actually look at it from their perspective, it's worse. I used to look at my situation, I said, listen, no matter what happens, at least I'm not gang stalking. At least I don't have to wake up every day and go do this. And I still mean that. I think they have a tough situation where they're trapped in some type of group where it doesn't matter if it's 4 a.m. They got to get up at 4 a.m. or they're going to face spell work. They're going to face people playing with their money. They're going to face gang stalking themselves. The group's going to turn on them. And it's like, listen, if I'm having a bad day, I can decide, let me go for a walk. Let me take a, not having a choice and having to go out there and doing this is a totally different life. Looking at your life and people are telling you what to do, what to think, what to wear, how to act, what way to turn, this is scary. I'd rather be gang stalked and nobody can tell me what to do. I mean, literally, if you're being gang stalked and you decide you want to go on a vacation, you could literally buy a plane ticket and go. You don't have to, somebody says you're not going anywhere. I mean, it's not to say that they're not going to try to send you spell work on the vacation or whatever, but you know, you can push through. But if you are literally stuck in this group, they control everything about you. And I've seen it. I've seen it. So if you want to come out of that storm, it's going to be a storm. It's going to take a process to get out. And you owe it to yourself to give yourself the time to get out. Because it's not something easy. This is not something simple. This is something that they've put barricade after barricade after barricade after barricade to barricade you out. And you just never know the day when you're one barricade away from freedom. So you literally just have to ride it out. And you have to ride it out with confidence and with faith. With faith. I talk about the fact that this situation has put a lot of witches to the test. Because if you talk about your God, okay, when you talk about your God and your God is put to the test, whoever your God is, because God is different to all of us, and your God is put to the test and they don't come through, there comes a point you got to look at it logically. You might not want to, but you have to step back and say, wait, if my God is real, how comes I'm living like this? If my God, not to say the person getting gang stalked is not facing some hardships too, but not like them. Those of us who face gang stalking with the Most High, we've taken our losses, we've had our difficulties, we've been tested, but not like them. Not like the people that serve something else. The people that serve something else are looking at us like, wait a minute. Wait. We know the complex spell work. We know how to do this and how to do that. We can do all of these tricks. How comes this person's protected? How comes this person's getting a good night's sleep? How comes this person still looks fresh? How comes this person has things going on? How comes this is happening? How comes what we've been trying to take from them is still theirs, is still in place? I promise you, when God tells you something, our God, the Most High, my God, tells you something, it's a done deal. And you will see miracles out of this situation where you're like, only God could have done something like, there is no way this is possible. I don't know how this is possible. I don't know what this is. This is God. I'm telling you, this is just nothing but miracles. And it's just like, this situation has to bring people to God. Because me, if I'm a witch in this situation, I'm going to sit back and say to myself, you know what? Whatever I'm serving right now, me and this thing are getting beat up. Because how comes this thing cannot do for me? I've been serving this for so long. How comes this thing cannot do for me what this person over here has? These people over here, It's like they have whatever they have secured. And us over here, we keep losing things, we keep going through situations, our situation keeps getting worse and worse. At some point you got to be honest with yourself. If you're going to serve something, I want to tell people the truth of the most high, of God being the most high God, the real God. I want to tell them that. But if you want to choose whatever God you want to choose, I've realized I cannot force people before they're ready, or if they're not going to be ready this lifetime, we don't know. But if you're going to serve something, the point of serving something is that it better come through for you in the tough times. People like to look at situations and everybody wants to be rich. Everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants things to work out and they want favors and all that kind of stuff. And that's fine. And that's one of the benefits of having God on your side. But what happens when God needs you to stand in battle? What happens when God says, just stand here in place? That's all I need you to do. I don't need you to fight. I don't need you to fix. I don't need you to do anything. I just want you to have faith and stand here. And sometimes all it's going to do is show people. Sometimes all it's going to do.
Alarm condition in the building. The fire department has been notified. Please stand by for the further instructions. Attention, attention. We have a trouble. Alarm condition in the building. The fire department has been notified. Please stand by for further instructions.
Ain't no damn fire. Anyways, all it does, you standing in place, is showing other people that they can stand in place in their situation. That their situation that is out of control, that they think is going to rip them apart, they could look at you in your situation and be like, you know what, it's not that bad. You know what, if this person can do it, this is how I do it. And sometimes a person might be a little bit addicted to watching you go through yours, and they might need to watch you every day, twice a day, however many times. I used to go into people's old videos on YouTube. I used to do so much because I needed it at the time. I just needed that faith. I needed that motivation. I needed to not be afraid. And as I would watch particular people, and you know the craziest thing is, and I'm biased, I am. Now, there's different types of astrology. There's tropical, which is what most of us know, and there's Vedic. And in Vedic astrology, I'm a Leo sun, a person who's very strong, a leader. And Leo is represented by the lion, and I do see a lot of that in me. A person who's very fiery, a fighter. But I also have come to terms, like I've come into astrology knowing myself as a Virgo. And as a Virgo, it's like Virgos are a certain way. Virgos are, you know, I can admit, a little crazy. I can admit that. And every time I would find someone who happened to be, first of all, when you're talking to a Virgo, you're going to know because they're going to tell you at some point that they're a Virgo. And every time I ran into a girl that was a Virgo that gave advice, I'm like, you see, this is why we get in trouble. Because Virgos are always going to make the situation worse. We're always going to tell people something that's a little bit too true, and it's going to really piss them off. But watching these girls fight back in an aggressive way, watching these girls tell people about themselves, watching these girls go through the worst and bounce back has been a massive inspiration. I've watched girls, probably younger than me, literally lose kids. I watched a girl on camera on her live have the police bulldoze through her front door, went to jail for 2 months and came back. This is a girl I know has never been to jail. Went to jail, came back and said it's nothing. That's a very Virgo thing to do. We are never apologetic because we meant it. We don't care how anybody else takes it, what they think about it. It just is what it is. We're not sorry. We don't care who you are, how much money you have, how much power you have. Virgos tell you like it is. Other people are scared and Virgos like, I don't care. I do not care. This is a little bit of crazy energy. But watching other people go through that, and I'm like, wait, look at my situation. I didn't have to go to jail. I didn't have my kids taken away. I didn't have my front door broken down and the police dragged me out. And if somebody else can go through that and come back and bounce back, it's the attitude. It's just in the attitude. It is so normal for any behavior that is a reaction. Any reaction to something crazy is normal, but you must choose your vibration. You must choose how to react. This is a part of the magic. This is how it works. Imagine fixing something, taking something from one state to another state. Confidence in the process. When I first started baking and they gave instructions and I'm looking at the thing fall apart, like if I'm mixing dough, it's supposed to come together and stay together. This thing looks like soup. I'm like, did I add too much water? Let me add more flour. Let me do this. Let me do that. And as I make adjustments that the instructions did not ask me to do, because I couldn't trust the process, I screwed it up. Not until did I follow that process and just trust it from beginning to end did I get an end product that I said, whoa, I'm baking soup. It's supposed to be watery. It's supposed to be like that. I shouldn't add anything. I shouldn't subtract anything. This thing is gonna take sometimes 80% of the water. So if I have, let's say 10 grams of flour, it's gonna take 8 grams of water, or 10 grams of water to 10 grams of flour. This is a soup. It's watery, and then they say let it rest this time, it's going to turn into a solid, and you're like, no, it's not. And then it does turn into a solid after a while, and you're like, whoa, it worked. And then they're like, do this and do that and shape it, and you're like, how am I shaping something that looks like soup that's watery? And you try to shape it and then it works. That took a long time to learn as well. This was so sticky, it made such a mess. And I'm thinking, how is this bread? What is this? I'm trying to find videos to see if this is normal. Everybody else's look perfect, not mine. And it took a while and a lot of practice before I came to the point where I'm like, oh, this is normal. I'm gonna enhance my ability to follow instructions and trust the process more so than trying to adjust while it looks crazy. So it actually ends up looking crazier in the middle portion of it than it does even at the beginning or the end. The end result is beautiful. It's a beautiful loaf of bread that looks like it came out of a factory. The middle part of it is chaotic. Every time you have to mix this thing 3-4 times, and every time you start mixing again, it starts shattering, it splatters all over the bowl, over the place. It's a mess. It comes back together, you let it rest, you do the same thing over and over. So the point of all of this is to trust the middle part of the process that feels difficult, is to keep refining your ability to trust a process that you cannot see, a process that you don't know, a process that you cannot understand, a process that no one's explaining to you in detail. Like, you might understand maybe somebody else's situation and you're trying to adapt what happened in their situation to yours, trying to see where there's similarities and how this could work together. You know, maybe if they went through this and you're going through that, maybe it could be something like that, just to give yourself a bit of understanding and peace. And there's going to be times where there is going to be no peace to it. There's going to be no understanding to it. You're just not going to be able to figure out, what is it? How is this going to end? How is this going to work in my favor? How am I going to be better at the end of it? You're just not going to understand. And I feel like in a lot of situations, you're not meant to. You're meant to learn to trust a process. Trust not knowing. Just trust it. Just trust it. Walk through and know that it always gets worse before it gets better. And everything has to be stripped down, torn down, ripped apart before it comes back better. Because it's kind of like my process with even putting projects together is the amount of times I've had to restart something because I'm like, it's not good, it's not good, it's not good. And sometimes it's beautiful, but I can't use it the way it is. It's amazing. It would have done amazing in previous times, but the times I'm in right now, this is not gonna work. This cannot work for my situation. So I gotta rip it all apart. No matter how much money I invested in it, I have to rip it all apart. I gotta start again and again and again and again until I am just used to improving, and I know now how to improve without, in a certain way. So you have to continue pivoting your situation, always putting one foot in front of the next, always trying something new, never being stagnant, pushing through. You're not the only one. There are a lot of people all over the place that have to push themselves through a situation that is requiring constant changes. Like, you get to the point where no matter where you go and no matter what you do, people are going to be chasing you. They're going to be after you. Start thinking differently now. Instead of just trying something new hoping that it works, you get strategic about it. I'm going to do something, and before I actually do it, I'm going to analyze in what ways it can be blocked. And I'm going to try to do things that have the least likelihood of being blocked. And I'm going to know that at some point when it starts being blocked, I'm going to have to do something new again. I'm going to have to find a new way again. But I'm going to be okay with it because I'm used to it. That's my process. And that process of being constantly blocked in different ways gets you to the point of where God wants you. Gets you on the path of where God wants you to go. As much as you might not think so, it does. It does, it does, it does, it does. The more doors that are blocked from you and the more things that are blocked from you, it leaves you with only one last door to go through, and that's the one you got to go through. And you're just gonna, what really makes this difficult is the emotional management of everything. What makes it difficult is feeling like a failure. What makes it difficult is impatience. What makes it feel difficult is constantly having to deal with some difficulty or disappointment. And you must look at it this way. There are people who are trying to make you take a fatal fall who cannot accomplish that, because every time they try something, here you go doing something else. They know at a certain point that no matter what they do, you're gonna find a way out of it. And where you used to need a couple of days to get over it and sulk and be mad, then it comes to one day, then it comes to a couple hours, and now it's just immediate. As soon as one way is blocked, you sigh, you have a glass of water, and then you just get to something else. Simple. And that's the process. And let me tell you, it is very frustrating gang stalking somebody, harassing somebody who you know for a fact is going to find another way out of it. You start getting exhausted, you start getting depleted, and you start running out of options. You start running out of options when people don't react, when people don't care, when people just look at things and they're like, yeah, right, and they move on. I used to be one, as they tried to create chaos in my life, I used to be scared to answer my phone. When I answer the phone, it's always somebody needs something happened, there's an urgency, this and that, just to take you off of your vibration and take you off of your track and ruin your day and distract you. Now I take the call and I'm like, listen, I don't have an answer for you. I don't know when. Can you do it by this day? No. Can you do it by that day? No. If you don't, we're going to report you. You do your job. Your job is to report me, then report me. Okay, well, here's the number for the report line. I could Google it. Thank you. Is there anything else? They're out of options. They don't know what to say. It's not no urgent thing for me. It's an urgent thing for you. It's not urgent for me. Put me back in the call queue. Put my name back on the list. Call back in 2 days. Keep calling. Call every day. Call from a different number every day. If I feel like picking it up, I will. If I can't, I won't. It changes nothing. I'm back on the task that I had. No urgency. My heart rate didn't raise. I don't care. I don't care. Report me. Oh, we're gonna do this. Do it. Oh, we're gonna do it. Or we're gonna kill you. Do it. Do it. Do it. Then do it. Because people who are gonna do things don't just tell you they're gonna do it. Let me tell you something. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna tell you. I'm gonna do it. You're gonna get a shock of your life because it will be done. When they want to do it to you, they just do it. They don't call you and tell you they're gonna do it. They don't threaten you to do it. A threat is meant to make you panic. When there's a threat of something, it's meant to make you doubt. It's meant to make you doubt yourself. Threats are not real.
Instructions. Attention, attention. The fire department has arrived. Please stand by for further instructions.
A threat is not real. Threats are not real. Listen, it might sound insensitive, but my dad used to say, he's like, people who are going to commit suicide don't tell you they're going to commit suicide every week. The real people that are going to do it, they attempt to do it. You got to take them to the hospital because they're serious. People that are telling you this every week want attention. Oh my God, they want attention. Now, suicide is a bad example because some people will jump off of the bridge. People that are going to do it, you're going to find them on the bridge. Now you got to talk them off of the bridge. People that are not going to do it are not going to... If you're not going to do it, you're sitting in your house every day and they cry and you give them all this energy and all this attention. When they're done, they're just sitting there drinking their cup of tea and they're fine again in 5 seconds. People that are really going to do that stuff need medication every day to get up. So you got to take it like that. When they start coming around and it's because they're scared. They are scared. That's why they start threatening you. They get scared because you're coming off a little too strong. You're a little too calm. You're a little too confident. And it makes them nervous. They've invested a lot of money and they put a lot of time into this and they're not seeing the results that they've seen from other people are homeless. They look ragged. They look a mess by now. They're losing their teeth. They're losing their hair. They're losing their sanity. How comes you're so calm? And what's worse about this is, what if other people see that you're this calm after you've been gang stalked this long? You're going to give people something that's very dangerous, which is hope. Hope. That is very dangerous to people who threaten other people. A hope. So when people are noticing that you're sparking hope in other people, they got to go extra hard on you. When they see that something's working, they panic. I feel other people's emotions. And when something starts working for me, all I feel is panic. All I feel in them is panic. It's just panic. Because they're like, oh my God, God forbid if this starts working, what is going to happen to us? And eventually it will start working because there's no choice. At some point it will work. It cannot not work for forever. So you have to learn to navigate distractions that are meant to take you off your course. Like the fire alarm, that's not real. Okay? That used to happen in the beginning every time I used to come live. I do my lives. Whatever I do, I push through to the end. I am not concerned. Nothing dictates what I do. I do what I want to do in anybody's face. I don't care if they spy. I don't care if they hack. I don't care if they see. I am the creator of my own reality. And it's even better if they know, because at least they know where I stand. I don't feel the need to lie to people, to manipulate people, to get leverage over people. I let people know and I let them have their period to lash out and to fall apart. And they're going to continue falling apart until they accept it, that this is how it has to be. This is how it has to be. My life is mine and I'm going to keep it. And I understand that you're upset, and I understand you're going to spend more money, and I understand you're going to have more manpower, and I understand all of this stuff. And I'm going to let you have your moment to do that, because this is your reaction. This is how you deal with things. But that doesn't change the fact that I'm not going to react to it, and I'm going to sit right here in my place. This is your emotional house. This is your place. This is your throne that you sit on. This is your life. And when you let people make you get up and run from it, you leave that seat empty. You sit right here and you give them a chance for them to react. You tell a child they have to brush their teeth and they throw a tantrum. You can get in the tantrum with them and fight with them, or you could stand there and wait until they're done and be like, okay, we're gonna brush our teeth. And eventually you'll see that they'll know there's no point in throwing this tantrum because it's not gonna make a difference. Let me just go brush my teeth. You tell children to eat, they don't wanna eat, they're wasting time, they're throwing themselves across the chair. You know what my grandma used to say? Then don't eat. Leave the food right there. When you're hungry later, you'll come back and eat the food. And you know what? Like clockwork, I would come back and eat it later because I got a bit too hungry. I want to eat, I'm hungry, or your food's still there. You go eat the food cold. Eventually, you say to yourself, I prefer when it's hot. I'm going to eat it now instead of later. I don't like the porridge when it's cold. So you have to not get involved in the chaos that people are making around you. And you literally, and it takes practice. It takes being seasoned. It takes going through, falling for that trap over and over and over and over and over. And then finally you get to the point where you're like, you know what? It is what it is. It is what it is. People used to, still are sometimes, come in my house and do spell work before I go to bed. Listen, do you know what time it is? You don't think you should be in your bed? You're in my house at this time? I gotta go to sleep because I want to sleep. Just go to sleep. Let them do whatever spell work they're gonna do and just fix it later. That's it. I mean, I would hate to have to be up at night watching other people sleep, snoring, and I gotta be here doing this and they just don't care. They just really look like they don't care. It's really gonna piss me off. I wouldn't think to myself, it's kind of like walking. This is one thing I like to do around Christmas if I'm going for walks and people have their curtains open. I can see the Christmas tree, I can see them cooking. It looks like a movie. I like doing that. So I'll like walk around and like see other, like, you know, in people's windows, and it's heartwarming. But one thing I think to myself is, I'm outside in the cold in the snow and this person's house looks warm. They're cooking. You can practically smell the food. Why am I not home doing the same thing? It's like that. Somebody's on the outside looking in. Create your own peace regardless of what is missing, regardless of what is not yet finished, regardless of what you're working on. Your life is your masterpiece. You have to approach your life like a magician. Magicians create reality. They cannot react to what is happening. You are not a reactor. You are a creator. There is a difference. As a reactor, somebody else is creating. When you create, you control your vibration. You are creating from your energy. So, dangerous, life-threatening situations do not require your anxiety and your fear, because you are going to manifest an anxiety-riddled, fearful outcome. You are going to manifest into your reality. It has nothing to do with just God. You're going to manifest in your reality. You're going to create exactly what you are afraid of. I have been in the same situation as everybody else, with the same group against me as everybody else. I've been the only person who has not been scared. The only one. Everybody else is afraid. Are these people that should be feared? Should be feared? Yes. But I control my vibration. They react. They are reactors. I have never, not that I've never felt fear, but that was an early on thing. And God said, release fear, release fear, release fear. But one thing I realized as I was afraid, it was feeding something energetically. And I kept thinking to myself all the time, as I was being gang stalked and chased up and down and all this kind of, I was like, my fear is feeding something. The more I am afraid, it's feeding some type of energy here. And every time I'm afraid, things get worse. So one thing I used to do was, I'm like, I'm not feeding it. I have to vibrate even higher. And I used to have to control my vibration through controlling my environment. So I'd have the anxiety. I would be afraid. I went through anxiety for months. I mean, like day and night, round the clock, couldn't breathe properly, was just scared. And then I started with the music like I'm playing right now, that's very calming. And then I went from calming music to meditation. Well, I always had my meditation that would like reset my system. It would last for a couple hours. I went to prayer. I would have candles lit. I would try to joke around with my kids even though I didn't feel like it, even though I was nervous. I would joke around with customers. I would just do something at every point of the day that would assist me more and more and more into leveling out all of that. And the minute I mastered not being afraid, not being anxious, not being paranoid, not being depressed, not being this, not being that, the minute that I mastered all of those things, I was able to see clearly beyond the illusions of what was happening. So much so that I can sit here today and gang stalking can happen or not happen. It could taper off, it could start back, it could, whatever it is. These factors do not affect me and my day. I can walk right by the people that are meaning to, you know, the way they go out of their way to stare at you, to let you know, like, I'm watching you. And it's just like, I'm like, hi. Like, these are people. These are people. A lot of the times, my reaction is very weird to them. They don't know how to take it. Sometimes I just look at them and I look away. Sometimes I miss them because I'm going through in my head something else. I'm planning something. I'm thinking about solving a problem. Sometimes I miss them. Sometimes they have to go so out of their way. Like there's people that are looking at me like, like they're trying to like be like, hello, look at me. And it's like, oh, okay. But I gotta go about my day. Like I have things that are more important. So you have to get yourself always to a place where the environment around you is a reflection of past energy energetically. Where you are now was an old vibration you had before that created today. And where you're going will be created by how you feel today. Your confidence is required. Your belief is required. Your faith is required. And that will create tomorrow. I can come on here and I can say what God tells me to say that probably frightens other people. And it's not that I have confidence that it's done. I know it's done. I know that what I said is done. It's not done today, but it is done. It will be seen. The results will be seen. Now, I've had more practice. I've had years of practice at being at doing this. So it's taken years to get to the point where I can say a prayer. The prayer can seem unrealistic as hell. I can have absolutely no way of knowing how it's going to happen, or even any hand. I have no hand in how it's happening. And after I say that, I can celebrate the same day in the same hour. I could sit back, have a glass of wine, and be like, oh, finally, that's done. The work hasn't even started spiritually, but I know it's done because I've done it so many years for so long. So I knew in the very beginning of this is going to be done. That I was not going to succumb to this, that I just knew God was going to get me out. Why? Because God always gets me out. There's not a day that God has not gotten me through. I just couldn't see it for myself that this wouldn't work. And I still cannot see it. I can't envision it. I can't see myself bankrupt, homeless, looking old, looking haggard. No one loves me. I'm going to have no friends. I can't visualize it for myself. You must understand that only you control your reality. Only you. Not even God can do something for you that you cannot see for yourself. So if you cannot see it, it cannot happen. The energy being sent in does not align to what you have, so it blocks it. I have never I'm not a lazy girl, and I just do not have the energy. I've never seen myself as not having money. I've never seen myself as not being abundant. And sometimes I look at myself, it's just like, it's almost like money appears out of nowhere. I don't even know how it works. It's energy. Be a magician. This doesn't take any additional skill. It takes control, emotional control. Whenever you start reacting out of fear, you can literally be in a situation, one person is confident of what's going on and the other person reacts out of fear, and even though they have some sort of interaction, they're in different portals. One person is a heaven on earth, the other person is in hell on earth, and they have chosen that with their vibration. You don't need fear ever. Dangers are real. You should address them. You should take them into consideration, but the fear is an option that you do not need to choose. There is a danger to, let's say, using a knife, but imagine every time you go to touch the knife to chop something, like, you feel the fear. The control comes from knowing that this knife could cut you, but focusing more on refining your skills, focusing more on being careful, on knowing what techniques to use. That, from that place, you are controlling. You become a master. You become someone who can carve beautifully, versus someone, they develop an anxiety, a phobia about knives. They don't want to go through, like, two different vibrations. Yes, you're in a tough situation, and yes, you're in a tough cycle, and yes, you don't know when, but you are the magician. You don't just, God doesn't just create. God needs you to be part of the creation. You are a co-creator. That's why God puts someone here who can be a vessel that is appropriate to walk through these things, so we could do it together. Give me your vibration, give me your energy, give me your confidence, give me your patience, give me your follow through, give me your commitment, give me a lack of excuses. Give me waking up every day the next day and knowing you will get up again. Give me the confidence to know, so I can relax a little bit myself too, and know that you're having a bad day. God will sit back, because we communicate. I say, listen, sometimes I have a bad, I need the hour. I just needed to regroup, because if I go too quickly and try to jump over it before I've dealt with the emotions, before I put them in their correct place, before I put them away, if I go too quickly, things I say will sound disingenuous. It won't sound real, because I don't believe it. I'm not operating from that place. Give me a moment to readjust, realign. And when I realign myself,
Reset to normal conditions. Attention, attention. The fire department has declared an emergency over. The fire alarm system is being reset to normal conditions. Good night.
it was no damn nor. Anyways, give me some time to realign, I say to spirit. And spirit gives me a little bit of time, and then out of nowhere, like, I'll give you an example. There will be times where I felt like I made a mistake in something I said. Something I said put somebody in jeopardy. Something I said put somebody in panic. Whatever the case was, I made a mistake. I'm embarrassed. How could I not have thought about that? How could I not have seen that? And I'm going through the emotions of that. I feel regret. And, they give me some time. And then I get myself back. And I'm like crying, and I'm upset, and I'm embarrassed. And embarrassment is bad, because embarrassment holds you back. Embarrassment makes you think, I don't know how I'm going to show my face on this camera again after what I said. And then all of a sudden, an idea comes, and I write it down, because I always have notes when I come on here, and I write it down, and boom, we're back. And I can feel the energy just bounce back again, like, yes, she's back with us. And I can feel the happiness, like, yay, you didn't let it stop you. Because there's been a couple of days where I'm saying to spirit, I don't think I can go on today. I don't think after what happened yesterday that I can bother. I lost my cool. I said some things that I'm not too proud of. And there's been times where it's like, you're overreacting. Nobody's gonna even remember that. Who cares? And I'm like, no, I'm so embarrassed. Like, and then the next day, as I'm working through it, it happens. I bounce back, I get an idea, I get something that I wanted to say, I remember something that I should have said, etc., etc., etc. And by the time I get back on camera, I don't even remember it. This is how you have to navigate these things. These things are, things happen. Things are going to happen. And you have to look at yourself and say, there's going to be a day where Spirit is going to put me in a position, and Spirit's going to say to themselves, can she handle this? And I want to give them the confidence to say, nobody but her can handle this. She can handle it. And even if she can't handle it, we trust her that she'll get back up every day and she'll find the solution wherever it is. She will keep pushing forward wherever it is. And she'll find it and she'll get through. That's all it comes down to. It's like, how am I navigating this journey that is very draining for other people? So one day, hopefully, people can look at how I went through it and say, you know what, I'm not looking forward to the fact that it's going to take long, but this person gives me such hope and confidence, and I see how they're going through it. I'm going to take a step out in faith and do the same thing. I'm going to hang on. I'm going to hang on through my storm. I'm going to get through it. One step at a time, I'm going to get through it. Anywhere you are today is not your last stop. There is no last stop. Even when you die, it's not the last stop. You continue on as a spirit. Then you turn into maybe an ancestor, a spirit guide. You're in service in a different way. It never stops. Why are we rushing the progress? Why are we rushing? There are more lessons here that we need for our moment of celebration, our abundance. When I went through my first storm, I had poor money management skills. I had a lot of things that feel natural to me today. I had to learn through that storm. And when I finally got out of it, I got to the point, and I got out of it very young. And I got to the point where I had a little bit of money, and the first thing my brain said is invest it. Why? Because I'd gone through some stuff before. My brain also says save your money. My brain says use money this way, do things that way. And so for me, I always think about tomorrow, a rainy day. What should I do here? Like, I'm always thinking in that way. Budget, take things slowly. Don't jump headfirst into things. Take your time. It's not to say I don't slip up here or there like other people, but it's a focus. It's something that's important to me. And through my life and my career, because I had a career before what I do now, I used to spend a lot of time in teaching people basic things that you would think adults know how to do, like save, stop overspending, clamp down in everywhere. People joke around, they're like, you're so cheap, you're so tight-fisted. No, I like to conserve my money. I like to be responsible with it. I think it's responsibility. I think you could be rich and you could still look at where everything goes, because you know what? My dad has a saying. He says, the money that you waste today, you're going to need tomorrow. And it has saved me over and over and over again. But God wanted to teach me that lesson early in my journey, so that when I get all the way here, I've never had a situation like this, that I would know how to persevere and manage through an extended period of time, a drought, an extended period of time where I'm being persecuted. So everything that you learn here, even when you fall flat on your face, you run out of money, you run out of things, this is gonna hurt so much that you're gonna tell yourself, I will never find myself in this situation again. So that when God blesses you and gives you a whole lot, you will not say to yourself, oh, it's okay, I got all this in the bank, so I can be free. No. You're gonna say, listen, I remember the time I fell on my face. I gotta make sure I can see everything that I have. I wanna make sure that I know where things are. I have things hidden in different pockets, and you're gonna make sure that the next time you don't make that mistake. Sometimes God makes you go through things early. You may have to go through a divorce or custody battles with people, so you know, let me be careful who I have kids with. Let me be careful when I do have kids of like what kind of things I do, what I allow myself to be vulnerable to, how I want to have them. Do I want to be married? Do I just want to meet someone? Like, God makes you go through things, so it hurts. The hurt is part of it, so that the next time God says, okay, we're going to try this again, I'm going to put something in your hands, and I want you to look at the mistakes you made in the past and not repeat these things again. And this time you have no choice but to do a better job, because you told yourself you will never feel that pain again. So you start really being very careful with friends you make. You start double checking, double, triple checking people that come your way. You start refusing offers that look like good offers. You start watching who you make money with, who you let into your personal business, who you let around. You start being careful with people, being cautious. All of the mistakes you made before, they are there to assist you on how you move forward. All of the traumas that you have now are meant to teach you a lesson moving forward. It's always forward movement. It is not accepting the reality as the fate, as where I'm going to stay. No matter what it is that you're going through, you're not here to sit here. You're here to continue putting one foot in front of the other foot and keep moving forward with yourself. Excuse me, nothing can stay the same forever. And just always looking at your situation as you are crafting it first from your energy. Not aligning with the energy that is being sent your way. Not letting things have an effect on you. Not letting things derail you. Not letting things be a big concern to you. Handling things as you can, when you can, with the time you can. Nothing affecting you. There have been so many hurdles these people have thrown my way, and it's meant to throw you in a panic every time something doesn't work, every time some new thing happens, and you're supposed to sit there and say, oh, every day is another thing. But that's been happening before you got gang stalked. Every day was something else before you were gang stalked. There are people that have amazing lives and no one's after them, and every day it's a new thing. And that's just life. That's just what happens. It comes with life. And all the blessings that you're asking and hoping for, they're going to come with their own challenges. There are single people asking to be married, and the marriage is going to cause stress. The marriage is going to come with its challenges. And you're going to think back, I remember when I was single, I didn't have to cater to anyone. I didn't have to think about anyone's feelings. I didn't have to think about this and think about that. Like, there's always something. There's people who can't have kids, and there's people who have kids, and they're like, oh my God, I miss when I didn't have children. I miss when I had my own time and my freedom. Everything comes with something. So don't ever think that the happiness is in tomorrow. You got to make the happiness today. Enjoy the happiness now. Enjoy the vibration of what you have now. Find the positive in your situations, and from there you craft tomorrow. And you craft tomorrow from this happiness so that you craft a happy tomorrow. You don't just try to rush to tomorrow from a fearful place, because you're going to create a fearful tomorrow anyway. You're going to create an insecure tomorrow. You're going to rush the tomorrow. You got to take your time one step at a time. Don't be fearful of the task you have to take. Don't be fearful of the next step. Don't look at it as, oh, I have to do this. Look at it as, this is a challenge that I'm ready to step up to the plate. It's a puzzle. I want to put it together. How can I get it done? You're on time. You're not ahead and you're not behind. You're on time. This is on the path. This is how you have to walk it, no matter what it looks like. No matter what it looks like. There's people here suffering more than you. I'm not saying that to make you just, we shouldn't feel better that somebody else is suffering more than us, but it's to put it into perspective that your situation is not as bad as you think. Do you have your health? Or do you have to worry about if you're going to, there's people getting diagnoses that they're not going to live in 3 months. Even if you have bad health, are you on a hospital bed right now? Do you have the capability to walk around, to sit up in a chair, to move around? There are people that don't have the ability to speak anymore, to walk, to move. They're in hospice care. There are people who find themselves with a mental health disorder, that they are in, the psych ward and they can't take care of themselves. There are people who have addictions and they can't manage their day-to-day lives. There are people who are not facing gang stalking but have things that they're dealing with that are debilitating. And you're not in that situation. We all have our personal challenges that are meant to evolve us, not stagnate us, not punish us, but get us ready for the things that we have to, the rewards that we've asked for. You are not going to get, God has repeated this to me all the time, to whom much is given, much is required. Some days a lot of days I don't want to hear that. I'm like, who asked for all of this much? I didn't ask for it. But you know the truth, I'm eager to have it. I want it. I want to experience it. That's what we came here for, is to experience. But in that moment, I get irritated. But then I start coming to the conclusion that, like, wait a minute. If I'm to have a lot, it will attract a lot of attention. It will attract a lot of problems. It will attract a lot of envy. How do I deal with that? This is not, you know, if I'm dealing with someone who's envious, or I'm dealing with somebody who is hysterical or who is aggressive, I'm going to have to deal with that again at some point, because that energy might keep coming back in different people who want what I have. Am I going to relinquish what I have every single time? No. So you have to see your situation and just kind of like adjust your perspective. Adjust how you're looking at the situation. Adjust how you're reacting to the situation. Adjust what you're doing as a result to the situation. And don't believe everything you hear and everything you see. Don't believe the illusions. Do not believe every illusion that you see. Please. I promise you, no fire people came. I don't think the ambulance or the fire truck came. I just don't. My personal opinion, I don't think no fire truck came. I don't think there's any fire. Things like this happen all the time. These are just a distraction. Sometimes people don't want you to help. Not sometimes. They don't want you to help other people. They don't want you to make other people feel better. They don't want you to make other people feel comfort. On this thing with me coming on here talking, no matter what I say, it's going to piss people off. I could just say God loves you. It'll piss people off. I could say have a great day. It'll piss people off. I could say God is at war and against you and you're under judgment. It'll piss people off. There is nothing right I could say, so I just say everything. I say whatever the hell I want every single day, because I noticed from the beginning everything pisses them off. They just don't want me on this camera, and that's too bad. It's been long enough. They gotta adjust. That's a them problem. I don't have a problem. That's how you have to look at your life. You don't have a problem. You've never had a problem. You're living your life. And let me tell you something about God. God will let people lash out every single day and still progress your situation right there in their face in slow motion. People chase you. Do you think you have to run? They gotta walk you. They gotta walk, like chase you at a walking pace. For me anyway, if I'm on the highway or I'm driving and I look in my rear view and a car comes speeding up to me like they do, I go slower. You're gonna tailgate me and we're gonna do 30 miles an hour tailgating me. And they're gonna be in their windows screaming, mother, da-da-da-da-da. And as they drive by, me and my kids just smile and we look and we just, like, what? They're having a bad day. And they're embarrassed of themselves, and you can see it because they're the only one that had that reaction. And no one cared. And then they have to like run and go in that lane and do this and do that. It's like you got up out of your bed or your house and you just to speed up into the back of somebody, and they don't care and they went about their day. I'm not gonna speed up. I'm not gonna try to get away from them. I'm gonna take my foot off of the gas. We're gonna go slow because I want to take the momentum out of the situation. I want to slow everything down. Calm it down. If I start speeding up and I start panicking and reacting to it, it's feeding it. But when I take my foot off of the gas, I'm careful on the highway. I'll start going 50 miles an hour on the highway. The most people could do is honk and go around you, highway or not. Y'all ever see old people drive on the highway? Do they really care of who's around them? They're gonna go as slow as they want to. It will drive you crazy. I just take my foot off the gas. I go slower. I let the car start rolling, and eventually they're just gonna leave. Or if they want to follow me for miles like that, we can follow for miles like that. It is what it is. I just do not like people trying to control me. And I just start getting very frustrating. I start really pissing people off when they do stuff like that. I'm purposeful about these kind of things. And you know, it's just gonna I'm a frustrating person to deal with when it comes to stuff like that. So I just don't want to play into it. I don't want to get involved. This is not my circus. I didn't ask to be here, and my life is just gonna progress regardless. Whatever I had to do, I'm gonna continue to do it. Whatever was in the plan is going to continue to be the plan. We're not changing plans, we're not readjusting. We may change how we go about the plan, but whatever was the plan will remain the plan. We're gonna continue here forever. Because especially if it's something that God asked me to do, we're gonna continue here forever. I keep my eyes on God, and we do our thing slowly but surely. You know, we have our celebrations together. We have our somber moments where we're like, oh man, we tried and it didn't work. Okay, well, we got to get back in there. We got to figure it out. And that relationship has evolved. Before it was like all encouragement from them, and now it's me saying, listen, I just need a little more time. Give me some time with it. Guaranteed it has to work. You know, and they'll say to me, all right, well, we need it by this day. It has to be done by this day or the cycle's gonna close. So we need it by this day. And I say, okay, well, I gotta get it done. And that's it, get it done. Get it done. It's co-creation. It is co-creation. You need your hands in the dough. You need to know, you need to be the kind of person they could share the process with you. They could share the information with you because you're strong enough to handle when they say, hey, we got a roadblock here. Hey, this is gonna be tough. Hey, this is gonna give you a little bit of a shock. Hey, we got bad news. But you gotta be the kind of person God can trust with the process. You don't get so down that we constantly gotta pick you back up. That when you come here and we didn't like what we saw today, you're gonna be like, hey, I know what you saw, but I need 2 more days. I'm thinking 24 hours. I'm thinking a week. I'm thinking 3 days. Give me some time with it. Because that's how God is. God's like, I've got to massage this situation. I got to figure some stuff out. When you really get into spirit, you start looking at them differently. They have an estimation of how long it's going to take, but people have free will. People have stubbornness. People are easily demotivated. People are easily distracted themselves. People are easily, they feel the rejection and the disappointment, and they sit in it for a while. So Spirit's like, listen, a normal person would take 3 days, but this person might be 3 weeks because we're going to have to keep starting and stopping and starting and stopping and starting and stopping. It's going to take more effort. So when you know the situation that you're dealing with, you got to adjust to that. So Spirit's going to say, well, maybe it's going to take 3 weeks. It's going to take a while. So you're saying, Spirit, what's taking so long? And they're like, listen, just give me some time. So now you understand when Spirit needs some time, because you know when you need some time with things. And they might come back and say, hey, clock is ticking. Because everything is a cycle. It's cyclical. Cycles open, cycles close. You got to get through there while the door is open in that cycle. You don't want that to shut on you without learning the lesson, without doing the thing, without getting something accomplished. It will repeat. It will be harder this time. So you got to get through. And sometimes you got to help people through who don't see what you see. So you got to take them kicking and screaming sometimes through the cycle. You got to shove them through the door. They got to see it. Okay, we're in a new cycle now. See, did you die? Okay, this is where we're at. Let's continue on. Get up, get off your knees, get off your let's go. Let's continue going. That's life. That's it. That's how life goes. It's the attitude. The attitude which you're moving forward with must be an attitude of strength. It must be confidence. You must go in the Spirit and talk to Spirit. Talk to them. Ask questions. Be childlike. Ask for explanations. What can we do? And they talk to you more. They involve you more. You take on more of a key role. You help out more. You don't just sit there all the time and say, well, Spirit's gonna take care of it. There are things you gotta leave to Spirit. You can't get involved in certain, they'll let you know, like you'll know your situation, but there's certain times you're like, well, listen, if what you guys are doing is you're bringing the ships in with all the goods, and I'm at the top of the hill and I'm looking down and I'm happy, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get 5 people, we're gonna run down and we're gonna help you pull this in, and we're gonna help pull it off the ship, and we're gonna climb up with it, and we're just to make it faster, to make it easier. They appreciate that. They appreciate you making it easier instead of standing in the way, making it more difficult. They appreciate you participating and saying, okay, how can I help my situation as well? Instead of how can I wait for Spirit to figure something out? How can I not be a burden and a hurdle to my situation? Maybe I can look for something, and they might tell you no, put it away, don't do anything, or they might say, that's a good idea, let's work with that. Or you might have a little spark and they'll be like, oh, that's amazing, perfect. You just have to look at it almost as if the Holy Spirit is like a person, a parent, a real life parent, a human parent. Now, your parents have more experience than you, they have more wisdom than you, they have more relationships, they have more money, they have more everything. So they are in a lot of ways superior to you. But your parents have emotions, your parents need help, your parents are going to feel demotivated if you're there fighting and grumbling and complaining the whole time. So imagine if you get up and you take an active role every single time. As soon as you see your parents pick up work, you're running, you want to help, you want to get involved. What can I do? And they say, okay, well, pick up that side, I'll pick up this side. Let's do it this way, let's do it that way. Instead of you sitting there grumbling and they're over there fighting with running from this side to this side to try to get it done. You start putting your hands in the work, you start learning how they work. You start learning the kind of things that they need. You start, because it's Spirit, it's a two-way relationship. It's not just like you just depend on, like the way that you read it, like God will do everything. It's like a two-way relationship. Sometimes you just need to stay out of the way to not get under their feet. And sometimes it's very helpful when you pick up. Sometimes it's like you're just praising them. Sometimes you're just thanking them, giving them an encouraging word. They don't feel demotivated, like we're helping this person, we're trying, and all they do is complain. All they do is cry. All they do is bicker. All they do is fight with people. All they do is make something else. You gotta just try to like help out a little bit, help the situation, do something a little bit nice, like change your strategies a little bit. Things that you've been doing for a long time that's been causing chaos, like let me just do something different this time. Maybe it might work. Maybe it might not work. Maybe I might do it 3-4 times and then it'll work. Whatever it is, help the situation, bring it easier. That's really, it's like the growth. That's the growth cycle. Eventually you get to the point and it's just like Spirit knows that, you know what, if I'm gonna do anything, I really want to do it with you, because I know that as frustrating as this is gonna be, it's gonna be enjoyable because we're gonna work as a team. We're gonna celebrate all our little wins. We're gonna high five. We're gonna be happy. When you carry Spirit, when they're happy, you're happy. You feel their happiness. You feel their joy. And sometimes it's not that you didn't lose or that today was not a successful day, but it's the way you handled it didn't make it even worse. You could have had a meltdown about the day, or you could have been like, hey man, it is what it is. Let me get back in there. Let's try to figure something else out. And so by the time you get in the Spirit to go pray, it's not like everybody's like all sad, like, oh, we had a bad day. It's like, hey, guess what we're doing tomorrow? I had an idea. And everybody can come together, and it's like you're just making light of the work, because the work has to be done. A lot of times we leave everything to Spirit. This is draining. At least give your attitude if you can't give anything else. Work on that. That helps a lot. And I say this after coming full circle. I had an amazing attitude for the first, I want to say, year, maybe even year and a half. And then as soon as I sat down in the house and I had to start healing, the crying, the anger, the this, the that. But it makes sense. When you had a lot of work to do, you had a lot of distraction. Now that you're sitting down, all you're going to do is think. You're going to create problems. You're going to be sad. You're going to be this. You're going to be that. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to blame. And the sooner you can come back to positive attitude, positive vibration, seeing things as coming to a conclusion, seeing things to be grateful for. Well, at least I still have this. Well, at least Spirit secured this for me. Well, at least Spirit kept their word. Then you come to a place where you're like, look, I know things are not perfect just yet, but thank you guys. Like, you guys saved my behind. Was it today or yesterday? I said to Spirit, I was like, listen, I could not have done this in a zillion years without you. Like, if you were not here. Even days where it's like Spirit, all Spirit did. Spirit probably did more than that, but the encouragement was what I needed. I just needed to hear, keep going, keep pushing, keep pushing. That's all I needed to hear. Because it was like I was exhausted, I was tired, but I took one more step, I did one more thing. And I'm here and I didn't die. And I was exhausted then, but I rejuvenated, I got my energy back. So as you're going through this thing that's gonna be daunting, this is gonna feel like hell on earth, because it is hell on earth. But you can take it from hell on earth to I accept it, I'm gonna do something about it. I can go through hell and not participate in hellish things. I can go through hell on earth and not let myself feel like it. Because you know what? This is going to be done one day. And when I look back on my gang stalking journey, I do look back on moments where I did have anxiety, I did have whatever, but I also look back on being proud of myself. I also look back on laughing at things like it was a joke, that I know it was not a joke. I know other people did not think it's a joke. I know other people thought I was crazy, but it was my coping mechanism. I went through things, fighting things, being very aggressive with people as they got very aggressive with me to back them into their place. And I know there are times Spirit wasn't happy with me and my behavior, but I also say to Spirit, I'm like, listen, at the same time, we saw how they were behaving, and if we did not show strength, they would have taken it for weakness. It is the show of strength that put people back in their place. It is people being nervous and fearful that made people back down. So sometimes they're not proud of the methods. They're not happy with the methods. Spirit's behind there like, girls, don't talk like that. Don't say those things. Don't threaten people. And I'm like, look, these people are threatening me. These people are getting aggressive. These people are crossing boundaries. These people are doing things that are scary. Now these people are gonna start feeling like they could step to me with weapons. These people are getting crazy. So yeah, I'm gonna threaten a couple people. I'm not gonna threaten, I'm gonna make an example of a couple of people. Not just one. I'm prepared to as many as possible until people start getting it. They start getting it. You think they're stupid? They just pretend like they're stupid. They're not stupid. They know their boundaries. People are gonna know that you mean what you say. And I tell you, I'm not a person who makes idle threats. If I say I'm gonna do it, I did it. If I say I'm gonna do something, I will do it to the fullest extent. You will see it in your life. Because I just do not have the time to let people think that they can get away with craziness. There's a lot of things I ignore. There's a lot of things I'm long suffering with. And when it gets out of bounds, it's out of bounds. And we're done. And this is where we draw the line. I'm not going to do it. So you have to know, just adapt to your situation and know, where am I going to ignore? Where am I going to not react? Where am I going to be very careful? Because if I don't react and I don't do something, people are going to think that they can continue doing it. Because you will see the pattern. The first time they do one thing, the second time they do another thing. They used to come in and they start crossing personal boundaries, a personal space. They started doing things that made me feel physically threatened. And then I started getting physically threatening as well. Because I'm like, I'll be damned. I'll be damned. If I pay for this space and business spaces and everything, y'all think y'all could come in here and touch things and do things and what? Oh, I'm gonna report everybody. Oh, I'm gonna make a stink. Oh, I'm gonna do things. I'm gonna make sure I leave a stain and a scar. Because no, I don't care if we're being gang stalked. I don't care if you think you're above the law. You're at your job. I'm going to launch an investigation on you. I'm going to do these things. You have to enforce these boundaries. These are things you have to learn. You have to learn. This is a point of going through this. Somebody crossed the line and you're saying, wait, the phone company's overcharging me. Report their ass. There's a board somewhere for things like this. Go crazy. I was calling news reporters. I'm emailing everybody. I'm putting everybody's name everywhere that it could go. Public humiliation and annihilation. Because otherwise, if they're doing this to you and you're making it public, imagine what they would do to you when nobody would know. Sometimes God, I know for me, God knew this was on my path, and God made me very popular. My business is very popular in the city. Everybody knows me, and it made me even more popular because people everywhere know me. If I go missing, everybody knows. They don't just know what I was going through. They don't just know the full story. It's not just documented. Everybody knows. This is for safety. So sometimes when other people might say this is embarrassing, you came on your business page and did this, let it be private. No, it's not gonna be private. I'm gonna embarrass both of us. I'm gonna make sure everybody knows. This is for my safety. We could remarket tomorrow. If you didn't like it, I at the time I had like 10,000, 12,000 followers, and they've been deleting all the I have half of that now. They've been deleting it slowly but surely because they're mortified. But somebody hears a story once and the news and the gossip flies around and everybody knows, because you gotta do what you gotta do. People do what they gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do. Sometimes you have to, you gotta do what you gotta do. The majority of the things that I did, Spirit didn't have to tell me to do. It was only common sense to react to a situation, take care of myself. And you gotta know that Spirit's not gonna tell you everything. People think there's times they're blocking my third eye, but this is coming from me. This is not coming from Spirit. It's common sense. If Spirit has to take on to tell you everything, you're not a child. They're gonna tell you if you don't tie your shoelaces, you're gonna fall. You gotta tie your shoelaces. They're gonna tell you if you don't pay the bill, they're gonna cut the lights, you gotta pay the light bill. They're gonna tell you if you don't do this, if you're gonna do that. Critical things leave for Spirit, but most things it's like you gotta use your head, work on it, work on it, work on it, work on it. They love to see that. Work on something new. Figure out something new. Don't just sit there and feel demotivated and stressed out. I know things didn't work that way. Let me figure out another way. Let me figure out another way. I've been fighting with this business for so long. And it's turned from a fight to a dance. Because slowly, but it's taken longer than normal, but slowly but surely, we keep blocking the path, finding a way, doing something else, figuring something else out. And yes, they do something to dirty it up, and I say, okay, I caught that quickly. Let me try another way. Let me try another way. And slowly but surely, it's come to this point. And it will continue. And you gotta treat it like the fire alarm. You're gonna see something happen and you don't react to it. It'll startle you because it's out of nowhere. It's loud. But then you continue on with what you're doing. You don't get up and be like, guys, I'm gonna come back on live and run outside and stand outside and you have to come back. No. It was a real fire. This is not no real fire. It's like that. You gotta look at everything they're throwing your way. This is not a real fire. This is not a real issue. This is not a real issue. Even if it was a real issue, not today. We deal with it tomorrow, or whenever I have the strength to deal with it, or when I have the time to deal with it. Look at the date on the letter. Okay, the deadline is this date. Okay, well, I'll deal with it closer to that date. Right now, I'm focused on this. This must go through. You gotta sit down, take your time, write out your plans. You don't know how to do something, do the research. They're crossing some boundary. They're crossing into your space. Well, how do I protect my space? Google it, YouTube it, search TikTok, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going until you find something. You try it, didn't work, try something else. It doesn't work quite as well, but it works a little bit. It worked for 3 days. Okay, now you know that it could work, but you gotta add something to it. Do something else, do something else, do something else, do something. Don't just not do nothing. Research, because even if gang stalking were not here, you still need solutions to problems that arise in life. There are people not being gang stalked that have a constant issue that keeps happening. There's people battling little things. Think of it like a rodent infestation. You have rats in your house and you tried one thing and it worked and they came back, and then You do another thing and another thing and another thing. You're not just gonna live there with rats. There's some people who are like that. They'll just live with it. But their population's gonna grow. You gotta get a cat. You gotta put the mouse traps. You gotta put the poison. You gotta do this. You gotta combine all the solutions if you have to. You gotta monitor the situation. Okay, increase the cats, decrease the poison. Increase this, decrease that. Adjust it. Play with it. Manipulate it. Turn it around. Figure it out. Solve it. Then one day somebody's gonna come and be like, wait, all the neighbors have a rat problem, how comes you don't? By the time you give them the solution, it's like 5 pages long because that's how much you went through to get there. That's your life right now in gang stalking. It has taken a lot of reworking every single thing. Okay, sage works for this, it worked long enough, now they're coming through sage. Incense worked for this, it worked long enough, now they're coming through that. This worked, now it worked long enough, now they're, you gotta keep readjusting, realigning, whatever, until it'll get to the point where it's like, you know, I feel pity for these people. I help them. You know, they're losing their health and they're getting sick doing all of this kind of stuff. Now they're coming back to me. Somebody comes to me in my meditation in my kid's cloak, looking like my kid, crying. What are you gonna do? First of all, it's a violation for you to even be in my meditation. It's crossing a boundary. But you stole something and now it's beating you down and you're back in the same place you stole, crying. What do you want? Healing. You want healing from the same place you stole. Brave. No, what can I do for you? You stole it. You gotta keep it. My kid thanks you because it looks like that kind of thing would have attracted a lot of hell in our life. That's how you have to look at it. They stole from you, they took it, great. It would have attracted a lot of hell in your life. Spirit allowed it for a reason. Everything has been allowed for a reason. So you just take it as it is. Trust me. When you look at people's situation that are gang stalking you, you wouldn't trade yours for theirs. When you look at what people are going through that put themselves in this situation, you would not trade where you're at to be where they're at. Believe me, you would not do it. You don't know the details. If you knew the details, you would just do the sign of the Father and go to bed and just like bow to God every night. Because remember, what they're suffering is what they meant for you. But with your protection work and your prayers and aligning to Spirit, it has blocked all of it. So whatever they're going through, whether it's bankruptcy, disease, financial loss, danger to their life, whatever it was, is what they prayed for you. Now they're sitting in that chaos. Now they're sitting in that mess. That could have been you. That's what they wanted for you. So you gotta go in the Spirit every day, no matter on the worst day, and just bow down and say, hey, I'm healthy. My mind is together. I'm not in the mental ward. I'm not losing a limb. I'm not losing things. My situation hasn't been perfect, but it sure is not what my enemies are going through. My house is still safe. It's not haunted. God is still with me. I'm in God's favor. And that's how you look at it and you navigate it through. And please just know that your situation, no matter how bad, is not the worst. You're not in jail. You got your health. You got your strength. You got your faith. It's just not perfect. It's just not perfect. Not yet. Not yet. Your patience is going to be rewarded. If there's nothing you can do, then take it as a vacation. You've probably worked hard. You've probably done a lot of things. You've probably gone through a lot. And just sit back. If there's nothing you can do, manifest, dream of the future you want, write things down, craft it. It's a beautiful thing when you can just dream up the things you want. Everything that I've experienced now in my life, I came from days where I didn't have family, I didn't have friends, I didn't have much, but just me and my notebook. And I sat back and I would fantasize about the life that I want and the things that I wanted. And every time I would read those things or reread them, it would like boost my spirit because I could just imagine having it. It's a beautiful life to look at. So if you can do nothing more, then that is manifesting, that is creation, that is magic. Instead of sitting there and crafting things that make you feel horrible, daydream, you know, This is what people do when they astral project. They put themselves in other people's space and they do all of this stuff. Take your time with life. Life is flowing at the pace it's flowing, and before you know it, it's gonna pick up again. It's gonna be fast paced again. You're gonna be like, oh my God, I have so much to do in one day. This is too much. So appreciate everything you have now. And then after all of that, a new cycle of problems is going to open up again. And you're like, man, I wish, before it was just human beings following me. And now it's like, I don't know, there's something else. Something else is going on that's way scarier than before, way worse than before. But you're going to know at that time that this is something that you can handle because of the last time that you consciously handled it. It's the problems are different, they feel heavier, but you've gone through it before. You've handled it before. That's the point of every hurdle, is to show you what you can manage. You can manage being in a situation that you're scared is going to be dangerous. You can manage it. People are in dangerous situations every day. You're not the first, you're not the last. You gotta take your time with yourself. You gotta pace yourself, and you have to react better. You gotta stop having panic responses. You gotta stop. You gotta hold yourself back energetically. Hold yourself back. Whenever you feel like launching to do something to fix, you gotta hold yourself back. And you gotta say, if I serve a living God, my God is not dead. My God is not deaf. My God is not asleep. I serve a living God. If I serve a living God, then I can give this issue to my God, and I can know I'm going to go to sleep, I'm going to wake up, and either I'm going to get instructions or they're going to tell me, sit this one out, we have this one, don't worry. And that's it. Done. Do your best for God, your best. Your best. Empty the tank 100%, and then leave the rest to God. Don't be a fixer. Don't fix unless you're told to fix. Just let it flow. No matter what it looks like, just let it flow. Whatever is meant to be for you on your path is yours. You cannot even get rid of it. You see, there's some people in relationships that they are behaving in such a way that they should have gotten rid of that person a long time ago, and that person sticks there. There's some people, it's like they have done everything possible to get rid of this opportunity, and it's still there. So you need not worry. When God takes it away, it's for your safety. Don't worry about anything. Worrying is wasting energy. People will wonder why I am the way I am. I hate wasting energy. I'm cheap with money, and I'm even cheaper with my energy. I'm cheap with it. I hate wasting time and energy. So you gotta be like that and create your peace around you, because these people come to create chaos and irritation. You gotta be able to take the irritation and just look at it. It takes a while. I'm in year 3 now. In the beginning of year 3. It takes a while. But I'm at the point with the irritation. You get immune to everything. You get immune to spell work. You get immune to the spell work. I'll be around, and everybody around me is in a rage, is sneezing, is getting sleepy, is this, it's that. They've abused it on me so much that it's just like I might feel a little effect of it, but I'm not gonna fall asleep like the people. I'm not gonna sneeze. I'm not gonna be angry anymore. Like they've abused me with it. You get immune to the irritation because it's like everyday irritation, everyday irritation, every day. Then now it's just like every second of every day has been irritation. All right. What else? What else? What else? New ideas. They need new ideas. They're gonna have new ideas. Every day, someone driving up into the back of your car, speeding into your car. Okay, all right. We're gonna do 10 miles an hour today. We're gonna do 5. I'm gonna stop in the middle of the road today. How about that? You're gonna stop behind me? Every day is something. And you get so, it's boring now. It's boring. It's not working. We just go over it. We just jump over it. It's year 3. Don't let the things from year 1 work in year 2. Don't let the things from year 2 work in year 3. We need evolution all the time. And challenge them to come up with new ideas, to come up with new things, to teach you new lessons, because they're teaching you a lot of lessons here. Teach me new lessons, show me new things, you know, and just like move forward with your life, because this is your life. Your life still has its path to walk. Your life doesn't stop here while you wait for it to end. That's the trick that they want to play on you. You're going to stop and you're going to wait for us to stop. No, they want you to not wake up and work. They want you to wake up and lose faith in life. They want you to wake up and say, I give up on myself. I'm not going to work out. I'm not going to eat right. I'm not going to do this. I'm not. Move forward with your life every day. And every day, don't just move forward with your life and continue doing what you're doing, but create plans and evolve in the plans. Push the plans forward. Push it, push it, push it. Push the agenda. Make everything nicer. Keep improving. You have periods that are horrible, go for a walk. You have times that are burdening you, take a break. A break, not a quit. A break. Walk away from this for a bit, focus on that for a bit, come back to that. How can I do this? Because there are going to be things here that bother you. Listen, I'm not great with technology. I can't stand it. But I've been learning it recently. I gotta learn this because there's no way out of, like, they keep blocking me with the technology. I'm good with the spiritual stuff. I'm good with, you know, controlling my vibration. I'm good with the reactions. I'm good with a lot of things. The technology now, we gotta focus on that. So that's why they're breaking my ass. So now, you know what? Guess what? I gotta learn. And I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna search. And some things I don't know are so simple. My kids gotta help me. They laugh at me. They roll their eyes. It is what it is. But I'm learning. And things that used to feel like a burden, it's like, okay, that's how I do this. Okay, that's how I get around that. And I search and I ask questions, and I slowly but surely you get to the point where you're like, oh, that's what I didn't do. All these solutions are simple, but I just didn't do the research. Instead, what I did, I invested my time in grumbling and complaining at that time. I didn't invest my time into learning. I just had to learn a little bit. Now that I learn, I've found a lot of different ways that I could make my life easier. Now I'm addicted to learning. So if your issue was with, well, how do I do this? You got to write the issues down. What is blocking me? I need this, I need that, I need that, I need that. And you're going to take it and you're going to start learning. Google. Ask questions. Figure it out. Go to different places for the searching, not just Google, maybe YouTube. Watch a video. Watch a couple videos. Sometimes the video I watched didn't give me the answer. It sparked the idea. Something they said gave me an idea. Based on the idea, I did this. Then based on that idea, I did that. And that's how I slowly maneuvered myself out of very tough situations. Now I can bring it back. What used to be an issue now can no longer be an issue because I've made so many adjustments to block. Don't stagnate anywhere. Let it teach you. Let it grow you. Now, these people in this situation, I've talked to them so many times. I've encouraged them so many times. They choose to align with the situation. They choose to want to stay in this mess. That's what can you do? What can you do? You just got to take your bags, pack them, tie your shoelaces, and be like, listen, I gotta go. Leave people in that shit themselves. You know, just because somebody wants to stay in it, that's their business. That's their business. Want to keep doing the same, that's their business. You're not a babysitter. So it is what it is. Sometimes it's just like, look, that's life. This is life. Everything was laid out. We are all adults here. We must decide to wake up and do something different and change our circumstances. We want to keep serving the same masters. We want to keep doing the same things, even though we've been shown a better way. That's up to us. We got to motivate ourselves. God doesn't always come and motivate you. Sometimes God says, hey, you got to, that was one of the lessons I had to learn. God said, you got to motivate yourself. You got to encourage yourself. So I start encouraging myself. I talk to myself. When I'm in a low moment, I start talking. I start talking to myself in my head. Okay, you could do that. And within 20 minutes, I'm up again. Bounce back. I can do what I have to do. so I don't stay there. It's not that it didn't happen, it's that I don't have to stay there. These are good examples for kids to see. These are good skills to put in place for yourself. Everything must always be from a place of positivity. I don't want to follow negative pages. I go online and I wanted to get in the gang stalking community, and I started giving encouragement, and none of them wanted to listen. I'm like, you're not really being gang stalked. You're an actor. You're an actor. People really being gang stalked are feverish for information. They're hungry for information. You're an actor. You could never tell me that you didn't take the spiritual information because you don't believe in it. Your life is upside down. If they set your life on fire, trust me, you'd light a candle. Trust me, you'd say a prayer. Trust me, you'd buy some sage. You're like, listen, I don't think this is gonna work, but let me do it anyway because it's too much now. They're breaking me now. I gotta try something, anything. You tried, it works, you're like, oh, okay, let me do this. Oh, let me believe in it. That's how it worked for me. You think I really thought that these things that people said was gonna work? I didn't. I'm like, what difference is an egg gonna make? What are you talking about? Hey, it got heavy. It got unbearable. Then I said, hey, let me just try this egg thing that these people are talking about. Boom, instant relief. I was like, wait a minute. I gotta do all the little weird things that they're talking about. Every time I hear a solution, now I gotta try it. Every little thing they say, I wanna know. Everything they say to buy, I gotta go buy it. I gotta try it. I gotta know. Because I'm like, this stuff is real. I don't know everything. It's real. So you gotta, if you are actually going through a situation, you're gonna try it. And if you're not going through a situation, you're gonna talk crap. You're just gonna, they didn't want the solutions. All they do is complain. I unfollowed everybody. I don't want to see nothing they have to say. I've moved on. These are complainers. I want to be around doers, achievers, positive people who are result oriented. That's what I want to be around. I don't want to be around people crying. I don't want to be around people complaining about what they had and what they lost. We all lost. One foot in front of the other into the future. Not about worrying about the past. And especially when it's people like, you know, it's like trying to do business with people and all they do is they find an obstacle. It's like, you're the obstacle. You're negative. Negative self-talk. No, I want to be around people. Every time I go there, I hear something nice. Every time I go there, I hear something positive. I hear some motivation. I used to be tarot. Every time tarot has something negative to say. Now I listen to preaching all day long. Have my favorite preachers, and I just listen to them, and they're teaching me something every day. I'm like, my goodness, God wanted to talk to me today. They're teaching me something. They're pushing me. They're motivating me. They're the ones that say things like this to me, so I come back and I say it because I've implemented it into my life. You got to do this. You got to motivate yourself. You got to whatever. You got to trust God. You got to give God time. You got to talk to Spirit. You got to da-da-da. And I do it. It works. It works well. It's deepened my relationship with Spirit. It's been encouraging. And then I can say, okay, yeah, this works. So now this is my new way of being. I don't just go to Spirit to beg for things anymore. I go to Spirit to consult. I go to Spirit to report in, to report back. This is what happened today. This is how it happened. What do you guys think? They don't even tell, people think Spirit's gonna tell you how to do things. Spirit puts something on your desk. They want it done. Please come back with it done. Just come back with it done for us. They cannot sit there and do it for you. They can't do everything. So I scratch my head. I start from the morning. I start from the night before. I'm scratching my, okay, how am I going to do it? How am I going to get it done? And I just get it done. So when I come home, I come with results. That's it. I don't even have time some days to sit back and say to them, oh my God, it got done. I'm like, listen, I got to go quickly because I got to go start my day. And I get back on here and I do my work and whatever. But what a confidence and a relief. They're probably looking at me like, look how far she came. What a confidence and a relief. Like, she's running around getting everything done. We can depend on her and we know she's going to do her part. So you just want to get yourself to that place. Wherever you are is where you're supposed to be right now. So it's okay. That's why you got the message right now. And you're going to take that message. You're going to make your improvements. You're going to fail your way forward. Fail, 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 fail until it becomes a habit, that you're not scared of the failure, that you understand it's just trial and error. It's not failure anymore. It's trial and error, learning, 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 learning. What was I depending on people to do before that I got to do myself? What did we used to ask people for that we should be learning ourselves to never again be dependent, because people will pull it back, and always doing it for yourself. So that is my message tonight. I think I went 2 hours, but sometimes it's like, I just know when it was myself, I didn't care of the video, how long the video, I was watching 2-hour videos because I needed it. I just needed it. It comes at the right time. God just knows when somebody needs something. I don't know who's gonna end up watching this that needs that pep talk, that motivation, that boost to just, hey, get up, get up, get up. Starting tomorrow, fresh mindset, pen and paper. You write down obstacles, you write down goals, you write down visions, you just write until you get, and okay, how can I work on this one? How can I work on that one? How can I, and just improve yourself and grow and pick up yourself, and never put a timer on anything. You can't control things. Things need time to grow. Tomatoes bloom, or crops bloom in September, in August, September. They're not gonna bloom no matter how much you fight with it. It's not coming in May. It's not coming in February. It's coming in September. So you gotta take your time, and just as long as you do everything, water every day, check it for weeds, you know, get rid of the bugs, etc., etc. But as long as you do the parts that you're supposed to do, you know that you'll be fine, irregardless. So that is my message for tonight. Have yourself a good night, a good sleep, and I just hope people wake up with a good positive attitude and motivation.